Hey, urban jungle dwellers. Ever dreamed of plucking fresh basil right off the plant for your dinner? Or watching a tiny tomato ripen on your balcony? Guess what? You don't need acres of land to make that happen. In fact, cultivating your own green space, no matter how tiny, brings so much joy. I still remember starting my very first garden, three sad-looking herb pots on a kitchen windowsill barely wider than my hand. Fast forward, and that tiny spark led to a vibrant, edible oasis. Urban gardening isn't just about fresh produce, though that's a huge perk. Hello, cost savings and knowing exactly what's in your food. It's also an incredible stress reliever, a touch of nature's calm in the concrete chaos. So, where can your tiny oasis bloom? Look around your home with fresh eyes. We're talking balconies, windowsills, even narrow ones, fire escapes, if safe and allowed, patios, or even forgotten corners of a shared rooftop. Get creative. I've seen incredible vertical gardens made from old shoe organizers or repurposed pallets. Imagine strawberries cascading down a wall. Now, for your garden's secret sauce, sunlight. It's absolutely crucial. You need to become a bit of a light detective. Direct sun means at least 6 hours of unobstructed direct sunlight hitting your plants. Think south-facing windows or an open balcony. Indirect sun means bright light, but without the sun's rays directly shining on your plants all day. Good for some leafy greens. Morning sun, before noon, is generally gentler, while afternoon sun can be more intense. A simple trick? Grab your smartphone. Many compass apps let you track the sun's direction throughout the day. Spend an afternoon observing your potential spots. Note how many hours of direct light they get and at what time of day. This will be your plant's energy report card. Once you've identified your sunniest spots and envisioned your future green haven, you're halfway there. You've found the perfect home for your plants, and that means you're ready to start thinking about the literal foundations. Transition to a shot of different empty pots and bags of soil, hinting at the next section. All right, let's get your garden hardware sorted. Now that you know where the sun shines, it's time to pick out the perfect homes for your plants. You might think any old pot will do, but there's a little more to it. For small spaces, you have fantastic options. Fabric grow bags are lightweight and breathable. Terracotta pots look great and help with aeration. Plastic pots are cheap and cheerful, and window boxes maximize vertical space. Don't be afraid to get creative either. See this old laundry basket? With a few modifications, it becomes a perfect planter. Or an empty milk jug? A quick cut and some drainage holes, and you've got a mini garden ready. Speaking of drainage, this is non-negotiable. Every single container, no matter how fancy or upcycled, absolutely must have drainage holes at the bottom. Without them, water collects, roots drown, and your plant quickly becomes a sad, soggy mess. You want excess water to escape freely. If your pot doesn't have holes, make some. A drill, a hot nail, or even a sharp knife can do the trick for plastic. Once you have your containers, it's time for the secret ingredient, potting mix. And let me be clear, we're talking about potting mix, not garden soil. Garden soil is too dense, often full of weed seeds and pests, and compacts easily in containers, suffocating roots. Potting mix, however, is specially formulated to be light, airy, and provide excellent drainage while retaining moisture and nutrients. Look for mixes that include ingredients like peat moss or coir, coconut fiber, perlite, or vermiculite. When you pick it up, it should feel light and fluffy, almost crumbly, not heavy and muddy. This texture is what allows your roots to breathe and grow strong. Many general-purpose potting mixes come pre-enriched with a small amount of nutrients, perfect for getting your seedlings started. So, with your ideal containers and the perfect potting mix in hand, you've laid a fantastic foundation for your urban garden. Now, let's talk about the exciting part, choosing which plants will thrive in your new setup. All right, so you've got your sunny spots, your perfect pots, and that amazing potting mix. Now for the fun part, choosing your plants. Not all green buddies are built for the big city, especially when space is at a premium. We're looking for what I like to call green giants in miniature. For urban gardens, we want plants that are productive without taking over your entire balcony. Think herbs like vigorous basil or refreshing mint, though a word of caution, mint can be a bit of a spread freak, so keep it in its own pot. Leafy greens are fantastic, like cut-and-come-again lettuces, spinach, or even delicious arugula. Radishes are incredibly quick and satisfying, as are small carrots. For something a bit more substantial, look for bush beans. They're perfect for containers, unlike their vining cousins that need a whole trellis. And yes, you can absolutely grow fruits. Compact cherry tomato varieties or dwarf bell peppers are ideal. Just look for varieties specifically labeled for containers or small spaces. This brings us to understanding growth habits. You'll see terms like bush or dwarf versus vining or indeterminate. A bush plant, like this compact cherry tomato, visual show compact tomato plant, grows to a manageable size and doesn't need much support. A vining one, visual show vining tomato plant, perhaps a long stem with a label saying needs trellis, like a beefsteak, will keep growing and spreading, easily taking over your entire setup. Stick to the bush varieties for your tiny oasis. Now, do you start from tiny seeds or ready-to-go seedlings? Starting from seeds is super rewarding and often more budget-friendly. You get a huge variety of choices that might not be available as seedlings. Some, like lettuce or radishes, are very forgiving. Others, like peppers, can be a bit trickier to germinate. A quick tip: to check if your older seeds are still viable, place 10 on a damp paper towel, fold it up, pop it in a plastic bag, and check in a few days. If 7 sprout, you have about a 70% germination rate. Seedlings or starts are more expensive, but give you an instant head start and higher immediate success. Perfect if you're a bit impatient or just want to jump right into growing. Whichever you choose, always read the seed packet or plant tag. They're your plant's instruction manual. Look for days to maturity, height and spread, and crucially if it's a bush or compact variety. This information will save you a lot of guesswork and ensure your tiny space thrives. With your perfect plant choices in mind, you're ready for the ultimate step, getting those green beauties into their new homes.
All right, your plants are chosen, your pots are ready, and your soil is fluffed. It's time for the moment of truth, getting your hands dirty and bringing your tiny urban oasis to life. First up, let's talk about seeds. Most seed packets will tell you exactly how deep to plant them. For these little basil seeds, it's usually just a 1/4 inch. I like to make a small divot with my finger, drop in a couple of seeds, because sometimes not all sprout, and then gently cover them with a thin layer of soil. The key here is spacing. Even in a small container, overcrowding leads to weak plants fighting for nutrients. For a compact pot like this, I'm only putting in maybe 2 seeds, well spaced, giving them room to become strong individuals. Now, if you went the seedling route, which is totally valid, here's how to give your little plant the best move. The biggest challenge is avoiding transplant shock. Gently squeeze the sides of the nursery pot to loosen the soil, then carefully turn it upside down, supporting the plant with your other hand. Never pull a seedling by its stem. Ease it out, supporting the root ball. Dig a hole in your new container that's roughly the same size as the root ball. Place your seedling in, ensuring the soil line is at the same depth it was in the nursery pot. Gently firm the soil around it, giving it a stable base. Once your seeds or seedlings are tucked into their new homes, the very next step is a gentle but thorough watering. This isn't just about giving them a drink. It helps settle the soil around the roots and eliminates any air pockets. Water slowly until you see it draining from the bottom of your pot. And before you forget which is which, don't skip labeling. You can use simple popsicle sticks, cut up plastic blinds, or even painted rocks. Trust me, in a week, you'll be wondering if that's parsley or cilantro. Your new garden babies are in place and hydrated. Now comes the exciting part, watching them grow. But they'll need a little more than just a good start, won't they? Up next, we're diving into the daily rhythm of an urban gardener, mastering watering, feeding, and even some first aid fundamentals to keep your plants thriving. All right, your tiny urban oasis is alive and thriving. Now comes the fun part, daily care, making sure your green babies stay happy and healthy. First up, watering. It's an art, not just a chore. The golden rule: don't water on a schedule, Water when your plants need it. How do you know? Simple. It's called the finger test. Stick your finger about an inch or two into the soil. If it feels dry, it's time to water. If it's still damp, hold off. When you do water, make sure you water deeply until you see it draining from the bottom of your pot. This encourages strong, deep root growth. Early morning is usually best, as it gives plants time to drink before the sun gets too intense and reduces evaporation. See leaves wilting? Could be thirsty. Yellow, mushy leaves at the bottom? You might be overwatering. It's a learning curve, but your plants will tell you what they need. Next, feeding. Container plants need a little extra love because their nutrients get used up faster. But don't go overboard. Think of it like a vitamin boost. A fantastic organic option is compost tea. You can easily make a diluted version by steeping some finished compost in water for a day or two, then straining it. Or grab some worm castings. A sprinkle on top of the soil works wonders. You can also find diluted liquid organic fertilizers specifically for edibles. Remember, a little goes a long way. Finally, let's talk about unwelcome guests, pests. In an urban garden, they can pop up, but you've got natural defenses. Keep an eye out for tiny invaders like aphids gathering on new growth. My first line of defense? Good old hand picking or a strong spray of water to dislodge them. For a persistent problem, a simple homemade insecticidal soap spray, just a few drops of dish soap and water, can be very effective. Neem oil is another natural go-to for many gardeners. Even clever companion planting, like growing marigolds near your veggies, can deter certain pests. Early detection is key, so make checking your plants a daily ritual. Mastering these basics will set you up for success. But what happens when things don't go exactly to plan? Sometimes your plants send signals you need to decipher. All right, plant parents, let's talk real. Even the most seasoned gardeners hit a snag now and then. And guess what? That's perfectly normal. Your plants are surprisingly good at communicating. You just need to learn how to read their signals. Think of yourself as a plant detective. One of the most common SOS calls is yellowing leaves. This can be a tricky one, often pointing to either too much or too little water, or sometimes a nutrient deficiency. If your soil is constantly soggy and leaves are turning yellow, you're likely overwatering. If the soil is bone dry, it's the opposite. A healthy leaf should be vibrant and green, unlike one that's pale and sickly. Another common issue is wilting. If your plant looks droopy and sad, first check the soil. Is it parched? Give it a drink. Is it waterlogged? That could also cause wilting as roots suffocate. Then there's leggy growth, when your plant stretches out getting tall and spindly with sparse leaves. This is a dead giveaway. It's desperately reaching for more light. Time to move it to that sunniest window, or consider a small grow light if natural light is truly limited. And sometimes you might notice slow growth overall, or even burnt leaf tips. This could mean it's not getting enough nutrients, or perhaps too much direct, intense sun, or even a nutrient burn from over-fertilizing. The good news is most of these glitches have quick fixes. Adjust your watering schedule, move your plant to a brighter spot, or give it a light, balanced liquid feed if it's truly hungry. But we can do more than just fix problems. We can actively shape our plants for success. That's where a little light pruning comes in. If your plant is getting leggy, or you simply want it to be bushier and produce more, pinch off the very top growth, just above a set of leaves or a node. For example, with a basil plant, snipping off the main stem encourages it to branch out into 2 new stems, giving you more leaves and a much fuller plant. It feels counterintuitive at first, but trust me, it's like giving your plant a haircut that makes it happier and more productive. Remember, making mistakes is part of the learning journey. Every yellow leaf or droopy stem is a lesson, not a failure. You're building your green thumb with every challenge you overcome. And speaking of overcoming challenges, the ultimate reward for all this diligent care is just around the corner, harvesting your very own urban bounty. All right, urban gardeners, this is the moment you've been patiently waiting for. It's time to taste the fruits and veggies of your labor. Harvesting your homegrown produce is incredibly satisfying, and knowing how to do it properly ensures you get the most out of every plant. For leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, or kale, we use the fantastic cut and come again method. Simply snip the outer leaves near the base, leaving the inner ones to continue growing. This encourages continuous production, giving you fresh salads for weeks. For fruiting plants like these cherry tomatoes or bell peppers, wait until they're fully colored and feel firm. Gently twist or snip them off at the stem, being careful not to damage the plant. Demonstrate picking a ripe tomato. Regular harvesting actually signals your plant to produce more, so don't be shy. Now, the best part, enjoying your urban bounty. There's nothing quite like fresh from the garden flavor. With a handful of freshly picked basil and a few other simple ingredients, you can whip up an instant pesto in minutes. Quick show ingredients: basil, garlic, nuts, and olive oil. Just blend them together and you have a gourmet topping for pasta, toast, or even a dipping sauce. But the journey doesn't end here. As one crop finishes, you can start another. This is called succession planting, starting new seeds every few weeks to ensure a continuous harvest. Don't be afraid to try new varieties, perhaps a different type of chili pepper or an exotic herb. Think about expanding your green space too, maybe a new vertical planter on that empty wall, or perhaps a small hanging basket for strawberries next season. Show a quick sketch or vision board for a next-level urban garden idea, pointing out new elements. Your concrete jungle is always ready for its next green transformation. Keep nurturing that passion because there's always more to learn and grow.